Hola, hello everybody. It's Carpaccio with the weekly Paleo report for October 12th of 2022, and I found a new trail here. This is the trail out to Murderer's Bar. Yikes. A little ominous sounding, but this sure is a nice little opening spot here. It looks very beautiful. It's a very beautiful day. And the moon is in Taurus, Earth grounded, in trine to Pluto as I'm speaking now, so we'll see how deep this report goes. She will be moving into Gemini tomorrow and coming into a nice trine to the Sun, Venus, and Saturn. As you can see, there is, and I'll be talking about it, a grand trine of Mars over there in Gemini, in trine to the Sun, Venus in Libra, in trine to Saturn up there in Aquarius. Absolutely beautiful. Now there is the still going onward square, okay, of Saturn to Uranus and the moon's nodes. So it's very interesting to have this supportive, beautiful, grand trine going on at the same time that we still have this underlying tension of Saturn in square to the moon's nodes and Uranus. So anyway, I'll talk about that. Other things going on then, of course, on Saturday, she moves into Cancer. And we have it is the third quarter square moon. And that moon is conjunct Black Moon Lilith down there in Cancer. And shortly after, it's opposite Pluto. So, yeah, a little something to talk about there. What else is happening? Oh, yeah, look at this now. I haven't seen this before. Cool. Mars square Neptune is today. Mercury opposite Jupiter. Again, another one. Today. Okay. And then tomorrow is when Venus is exactly trine Saturn. Yesterday, the Sun was trine Saturn. Oh yeah, that's the cool thing is we've got the Sun traveling together with Venus in conjunction for a whole nother month. That is so beautiful and powerful that I really want to talk about it today. Oh gosh. I don't know where I'm going to sit for this. The whole place is so beautiful. Look at that stillness over there. Let's see if I can get a shot of it. Yeah, it almost looks like a lake instead of a river over there, doesn't it? Okay. What else is going on? Well, you know, the Sun moving through Libra will come into an inconjunct, 150-degree aspect on Sunday to Neptune. The higher spiritual powers of Neptune, okay, making an adjustment with the Sun, our solar identities. We'll talk a little bit about that, the higher powers coming through. And then the Sun trines Mars next Monday, and Venus trines Mars next Tuesday. So we've got the trines, baby! Yes! Moon is trine Jupiter next Tuesday. Because by then, of course, she's in Leo. Yeah? So we got a little fire coming up after that third quarter square moon, on Saturday and Sunday as the moon moves through Cancer. Then on Monday, she's going to fire herself up. Yeah, go into Leo. So anyway, enough of the aspects. Let me sit down and talk at you. Hello out there in YouTube land. How are you today? So much going on here. Let's narrow it down. The Sun, ruler of Leo, which they often associate Leo with the heart chakra. Okay. And then conjunct Venus, which is also associated with love and the heart chakra, traveling together through Libra, ruled by Venus. the sign of balance, justice, peace, harmony in our relationships with each other. It's communion. Libra wants communion and communication, and Venus traveling through there is very powerful, very strong, and also has this Pallas Athena, wisdom, truth. This is just like a wonderful, beautiful time for sharing our truth. And what is that truth? That's the question. I find it interesting that the air signs is like the wind blowing over the surface of the earth. Sometimes it is kind of seen as being superficial, light, airy, fair weather friends. So we've got this, Mars in Gemini, which is, talkative, and it's all about communication. And then we've got the Sun and Venus in Libra. Let's talk. But then the trine to Saturn. And that Saturn is very strong. It's the co-ruler of Aquarius. And it brings it into reality. Yeah? It brings it down in. Saturn actually rules grief. Yeah, and it even is associated with depression when it comes into contact with Mercury, the moon, separation, loneliness, isolation. So it's very interesting now to have this light, airy, grand trine, but it's anchored. It's really anchored, and I really thought it's interesting today, this morning, I get an email, from Alexandra Katahakis. I've mentioned her before. She is from the Center for Healthy Sex in Los Angeles, and she wrote this book, right? The Mirror of Intimacy. I'm on her email list. You can get on her email list too. and you get a daily meditation. And I thought I'd read you a little bit of her daily meditation today because it's on sorrow. Sorrow. Venus in the heart, our heart can also carry sorrow. It's not all fair weather and light and joyous and let's talk about only beautiful things. But if we really want intimacy, if we really want connection, it really involves a deep sharing. And so this is a beautiful time for a deep sharing because Venus actually rules listening, hearing. So it's more Mercury, Gemini is the speaking and Venus is the listening. So we really want to listen to each other. That's why I've got this, I actually like Joe Cocker's version of A Little Help from My Friends. I like it a little better than the Beatles. So that's the song for this week, but let me read this out to you. Ready? When we fight the urge to mask our sadness with a happy face, when we can sit with the emotion of sorrow without self-pity or self-abandonment, we fling open the shutters of denial to the whole truth of our experience. Fear of depression, of inviting so-called negative energy, or of falling into an emotional abyss can create shame for even acknowledging sadness. Yet who among us is immune? The invitation to feel real sorrow does not exile us to permanent melancholy or gothic gloom. And the narrow social stance that measures our worth solely by positivity prevents true feeling. The only act that could integrate our sorrows rather than bury us in them, to shine the light of attention and acceptance on our darkest moments, brings us closer to wholeness. Sharing emotional truth with trusted others as we feel it breaks the chains of isolation. That's just one paragraph. She does go on some more, but it makes, she makes this point that I think is really important. And of course, it, even relates to, this week's mantra a little bit, is that this ability to share the full spectrum of our emotions, which includes the grief and the sorrow, and it can even be the fears. The fears I talked about last week, and this week I'm talking a little bit about the sorrows. I mean, what can we be sorry about? Where do these sorrows come from? They come from compassion, from empathy. So we can have sadness. We can have sadness over things that we've done, things that we've said, things that have been done to us, things that have been said to us. I've got some sorrow just because I've been I wake up with this stiff neck. I've been having a stiff neck lately, right? And it just bums me out to have, any kind of problem with my physical body, just really, I get really OCD about my physical body, right? So when it's not feeling 100%, it drags me down into the gloom. What did she say? Gothic gloom? Yeah. Woo! Thinking about the eighth sphere, or what's coming up. The eclipses. And you may be feeling, the eclipse season approaching, and it's going to be happening right around the 21st, 22nd. I've been feeling it because I've been writing out a description of a webinar I'm doing with 5 other astrologers. And we're all going to be looking at this eclipse from different angles. The world experience, the personal experience, how it affects the Venus star pentagram, world affairs, intimacy, sexual affairs. It's this Taurus-Scorpio axis with Saturn now squaring the moon's nodes. The eclipses always happen on these moon's nodes. And I said, really, since January of this year, we've had the south node moving through Scorpio. And Scorpio is the underworld. It has to do with deep, deep feelings and deep transformation and a letting go. We could even feel as if there's a lot of our questions and our doubts and our fears and even our sorrow that is rising up to be taken down the river, baby. Look at the river. Shh. It wants to wash our tears away. So yeah, we just came out of this moon conjunct Chiron, right? That full moon conjunct Chiron, and it was it's in this fiery Aries, impulsive and charge and go, but didn't you feel kind of a depth like Chiron kind of holding that lunar energy in a deeper way? And now we've got this third quarter moon coming around, right? She's now waning. She's getting small. She's reflecting going, kind of coming back into ourselves, right? Kind of coming into Cancer. And we've got this black moon Lilith been hanging out in Cancer for months, back and forth. It's the Pluto polarity point is Cancer now, since 2008. This Pluto polarity point has to do with the path of evolution. So our path of evolution, during this time has been, in very many ways, to feel our feelings, to feel our humanity. And this is just like a really beautiful time, because I know we've been really taught to, if you're going to cry, go to your room. We tend to isolate some of our feelings, some of our emotions, some of our fears. Don't let it show. It's a good Alan Parsons Project song. Don't let it show. That could be another one for this week. Maybe I'll hunt that down. But yeah, even with the Pele report, it's like, yeah, be positive, be light, bring a beautiful, sweet message, to the world, and encourage people and enlighten people and make them feel good and da 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 da. Yeah, right, I pop out a couple of Pele reports and it's like, oh, look out. Oh my goodness. But what it does, and these last couple of weeks, like I said, there's been that Mercury stationing opposite Neptune has really brought in a whole nother level. And now we've got that sun coming in to that inconjunct to Neptune. And I want to read to you the Sabian symbol for this third quarter moon, because it's very powerful. It has to do with power. It has to do with spiritual power. And here's where I say it's like our emotions, particularly cardinal emotions, the third quarter moon in Cancer. I've always likened Cancer to like the beach, the surf, where crashing waves crash up onto the shore of consciousness and then withdraw and go back out to the ocean. And this, I think, is what's really super important, is the changing nature of our feelings. And to accept that changing nature, and to allow that changing nature, and to encourage that changing nature. This too shall pass. So we don't get stuck in the Gothic gloom. Just like we don't get stuck in the highest, lightest, airy, fairy woohoos. Right? It's not, so we're getting unstuck. This is Uranus conjunct the North Node in Taurus. It's like crashing. It's like, don't get stuck. Don't get stuck. Wherever you are stuck, or wherever you have been stuck, now, bam, it's getting blasted with Uranus. So I want to encourage us all, encourage myself to really flow with these feelings, but not go down the river with the feelings. And that's what's cool about the air signs. We can be on the shore and we can watch those, we can watch that river flow. We can observe ourselves. We can witness ourselves from a place of spiritual power. Let me read to you the Sabian symbol of the 25th degree of Cancer. A willful man is overshadowed by a descent of superior power. The response of spiritual forces to the integration of personality through positive, willful endeavors. We are dealing here with a man who uses his will and positive imagination in facing his life problems. To him comes a Pentecostal descent of power. You know, at Pentecost, it's in the Bible where the white doves or the tongues of fire came down, descended to the apostles, and they started speaking in tongues. That's the Pentecost. Last week I talked about that Christ consciousness. It's interesting here to have this brought up again, this Bible stuff in the Sabian symbol. He receives the mantle of power, the grace, in parentheses, baraka, in Sufi philosophy, the providential assistance which can make him a true leader in his culture. So here we witness a more transcendent expression of success. It's not merely external success, as is given by society to its prima donnas, but a spiritual response, a sign of inner strength and uncommon endowment. I really think this brings me back to the truth shall prevail. And being in our truth, in all, honesty, and bearing ourselves to our friends, right? We open up and are empowered because we're heard and we're felt and we're approachable and people can engage with us as human beings on an emotional level. It's not just about being right or being famous or being rich or being It's like, I am here with you. This is that beautiful, healing, Sun, Venus, love energy, baby. Ow! So yeah, this mantra came this morning. It's kind of funny, Every single person brings out a different part of me. Multiply by 8 billion, and that's a lot for me to see. Isn't it something? This is a social time, this grand trine in air. It's a good time to get together with friends. It may even be a good time to get together with not so friends. It may be a good time to listen to the other side or to the outside or to maybe what you kind of put off, or it's like, no, that's a bummer, or that makes me, that brings me down. I don't want to Maybe just like pause. Maybe listen. And I encourage you, allow the words to bring you into your heart. Allow your conversations to come into this healing space of holding each other and not just bantering, not just talking. And you will find, what's the old saying? Thou is me, I am thou, we are together, right? There is this mirror. We are each other's mirrors. And every individual relationship that you have mirrors a different part of yourself. And as mirrors for each other, yeah, it's a lot. And maybe this is also an opportunity to open up to new friendships, to new perspectives, to new aspects of ourselves and be blown away. Let people compliment you. Let people adore you. Open your heart to also receive the nourishment and the light. So it's just this whole kaleidoscope of feeling that makes us human and makes the human experience so beautiful. One more time. Every single person yeah, brings out a different part of me. Multiply by 8 billion, and that's a lot for me to see. So open yourself up to seeing your totality, baby. Ow! You are huge! Namaste. Aloha. So much you.